We're now going to meet some current pioneers who are Jackie, Arnold and Diane Lee. And they're going to talk about their experience as Lit in Colour pioneers. So welcome, Jackie and Diane.
Thank you. So I'm Jackie, I'm Head of English at Stowmarket High School, and this is my colleague Diane, who's one of our premier teachers here. So Stowmarket High School is a rural school in a sleepy Suffolk town called Stowmarket. As you can imagine, it's predominantly white English. And I think one of the things that people kind of can understand why you might want to diversify your curriculum if you live in a multicultural area, but actually we think it's really, really, really important, even more important in lots of ways, for students who are mainly white to actually see other nationalities and diverse people actually presented in their work. So just over 2 years ago, we were doing the classic trio of 3 white dead men. And we're quite keen to diversify our curriculum generally, not just GCSE, but our Key Stage 3 curriculum. But we were sort of faced with lots of obstacles. As Pam mentioned at the beginning, we have the desire, but there's a cost involved in replacing the GCSE text. There's a workload, where we're going to get all the resources from to actually introduce this new text. And there's also, we were doing an inspector calls, and there was, a lot of people within the department had a fierce loyalty to that play. It is good in so many ways, but we were brave enough, so the key was the Lit in Colour Pioneer Scheme that made us make that jump.
Thanks, Jackie, and hi everyone. Following on from what Jackie said, what made us make the jump was, I think, sort of timing as well. When the previous head of English, before Jackie stepped into that role, greenlit the application, and so was able to apply. And fortunately, we were successful in gaining the Lit in Colour Pioneer School position. And so that gain, with that, we were able to gain what has been already mentioned, and really lovely to actually sort of hear the backstory to see the free texts arrive, the mini library. I remember when it arrived in July and opening those boxes. I'm going to admit it, as an English teacher, with those new book smell just wafting through the air, I got quite emotional, I must admit, just to see the various titles that had been selected, the various genres, just you could see thought had been put into which texts would be suitable for Key Stage 3 right through to Key Stage 5. And not only with the mini library, along came the free text, so it really was able to jumpstart our teaching of We Chose Refugee Boy. And so with the free text of Refugee Boy and with the mini library, we're able to start a book club, which I might touch on a little bit later. But I will never forget what the previous head of department said. He said, when he made the decision, as Jackie said, to let go of that, previously beloved text of an inspector calls, he thought about it and he said, you know what, it's the morally right thing to do. And I believe that's a really good sort of legacy that he's left as he's now moved on. So why did we choose Refugee Boy? It was chosen, it was a text that I was somewhat familiar with, the novel. I read it later on, but I was familiar with the premise, and so decided to choose it on that basis. But also because it was quite topical, and unfortunately increasingly more so topical. And so it just enabled, with the resources that Pearson has put together. So I'm very, very pleased that when I did make the decision to do Refugee Boy, not only did you get the mini library and the free set text, but you also got a scheme of work and other materials really already there for you to amend and adapt as you wish, which is what I was able to do. But knowing that scheme of work was there as a really good template and a starting point gave you that sort of confidence that, okay, I'm not going to be writing a scheme of work from scratch, which of course may put off some teachers and educators, but actually being able to have that template there was so useful. So really pleased that Pearson provided that, and so it just helped me to put the scheme of work together and adapt it even more so for the students that we currently have. I'm going to hand over to Jackie to talk about that part of the process of that when you actually created a scheme of work and start teaching it, what can it bring up actually?
Yes, so we actually started teaching Refugee Boy to our current year 11s, they were in year 10, around February last year, which I think probably is the worst time of the year to actually introduce a text. We thought we were really, really prepared. As I say, Diane had worked on the Edexcel scheme of work that we've got, and everybody was really excited about it. And we had several weeks of teaching it, and then we were looking at each other, and there was a little bit of like, have we made the right decision? We miss having a video. The Empress is fantastic that you're going to have a film to watch. So we missed that little bit. And as I say, some of the departments were a little bit out of their comfort zone. So we had a heart-to-heart, and then I sort of weighed up the options, and I made the decision to actually continue with Refugee Boy. And I'm really, really glad that I did. And as soon as I started, as soon as we were on this, yeah, we're going to, suddenly we were just overwhelmed by a whole range of resources that seem to materialise out of nowhere. And Diane will tell you about those.
So some of the resources was My Name is Why, which was the memoir written by Lemsey Say, just had recently been published. And not just that, but there was some sort of more abridged versions, sort of more student friendly, that we could buy, and they were on sale. So Jackie quickly, was able to do that and purchase generously a copy for each of the students. Literally, I think maybe a day or so later, through talking with an outside connection, and it's really important that actually when you are thinking and you are teaching these texts to sort of look out for connections that you can make. And so Jackie had a connection who actually said, do you know what, Limsey says he's actually doing a theatre tour and reading excerpts from his memoir. And so he was actually performing in a theatre not too far from our school. And again, as head of department, just quickly arranged a theatre evening. We was able to take a cohort of year 10s, and it was such an amazing evening for them to actually dialogue in real time, because after he spoke, he gave did a Q&A session where he actually welcomed and actually made a point of saying, I'm actually going to take questions from the students that have come. And we didn't envisage that at all when we had first started, that they were going to go away feeling empowered and saying, I actually spoke to the writer of the text that I'm studying, and we just thought, how powerful is that? And so that linked then on that night, unbeknownst to us, there was a colleague of ours who had attended with another set of colleagues from a previous role that she had done, which led to a year later, literally just last month, a speaker coming into school this time and speaking about her work, which she does as working as a social worker with unaccompanied refugee children. So it gave such a really good contextual background, and was able to set a powerful framework, I would say, for the students, again, studying the text. And so, things just really started to fall into place. Snap revision guides came out again on Refugee Boys. It was another resource that we could buy and let our students interact with, which really bolstered their knowledge and contextual knowledge, as well as their knowledge of the play as well, and the themes within the play. And as Jackie said earlier, not just diversifying at Key Stage 4, looking at diversifying lower down in the school. At Key Stage 3 in Year 8, the decision was made to put Refugee Boy, the novel, to be taught, so thus giving a really good foundational basis for the students to have studied it as the novel in Year 8, and then moving when they are reintroduced to it in Year 10, they already, I'm familiar with this text. It's just in adapted form, but they already know the premise of Refugee Boy. And so we just couldn't believe just how by making one decision, things would and walking through the challenges, we would say, and our sense of uncomfortability, opportunities just presented themselves to us, and we've just been grabbing those opportunities with both hands.
Yeah, and as I say, a year on, we've just marked our year 11 pre's, as they are now, with refugee, with boys answers, and obviously now there's been exam papers actually taken by previous cohorts. We've got model answers and all those resources that we've had through the Pioneer scheme, so we feel much more confident that our students are actually prepared for the exam, hopefully in 2 months' time, and that we're going to get some really, really good results. But also, I think, what also happens, unfortunately, as Diane said previously, in the last year, there's not a day goes by without the refugee situation being on the news. So it's really, really, really contemporary and relevant to our students, together with the fact of, homelessness, the care system, knife crime, all those themes which just resonate so much within our student bank. And also, I think the other thing that we've seen is refugee boy the diversification has started in the English department, but has actually had ripples effect around the school. Diane, do you want to talk about the geography?
Yeah, so we were very privileged to actually be asked to run and facilitate a whole school CPD. And so we were to talk about, the importance of why you should diversify curriculum. And one of the things I said I want to echo here, which is, it behooves each one of us as an educator, we really want to prepare our students holistically and to let them engage with, present text to them where they can engage, so that they are seeing people that they would not necessarily come across in their daily walk of life. And I think it's important to note that we may not think that we have much influence, particularly as in secondary school, but the influence we do have is so important that we can be someone or an organisation which is trying to counteract maybe the narratives that are out there. And so through the CPD and just having seen the ripple effect, we had a really wonderful discussion with a geography teacher a few weeks ago, where he's been teaching from a geographical perspective the effects of the Katrina hurricane, and he said he hadn't looked at it before, that most of those who've been affected in that terrible tragedy were actually people of colour. And he said it really made him actually really look at it, literally took his glasses off and approach it from a different lens. And one of the things that really touched Jackie and I was he said he felt, thinking, I should have seen this sooner. I actually feel, bad that I didn't see this sooner. And he said it really adapted his teaching. He taught it differently to the current year group that he's teaching. And so he said, moving forward, that's what he will do. And so you can see the ripple effects in other departments, in the design and technology, music, maths departments in the school are looking at how they can diversify their curriculum. So it's really an empowering thing, a powerful thing for not just one department to get involved, but to see the ripple effect it can have on other departments in the school as well. Okay, so we're going to hand over now to Leslie.
Before you do that, sorry to interrupt you. Sorry to interrupt. I'm sure Leslie won't mind for a second because we've got time. Is that okay? I just wanted to say, I'm pretty sure everyone else who's listening would think, wow, that is amazing. It's so powerful, isn't it? The impact that becoming a pioneer has had in your school. So, Jackie, Diane, would you mind just quickly saying briefly about the book club that you started as well? Because we've got a little bit of time, I think. So if you wouldn't mind, I'm just going to leave that with you for a second.
Sure, and thanks for reminding me, Pam. Started the book club just after Black History Month of 2021, and just opened it up to all year groups to come along. And we were particularly challenged in our school because we actually do not have a school librarian. And so we were wondering how we were going to incorporate the books into the general population of the books in the library. And because I was quite precious of the books, I wanted, to look after them. It was decided that they would stay in my classroom and I would issue them. So I quickly devised an issuing form, and I created a stamp so I could stamp the books, and then invited students in, and they started to come. And the premise we run our book club on is that you choose a book that you kind of like the look of, and then you can read it and then come along to book club, which I hold during lunch times once a fortnight, and I'll have a little incentive. I tend to bring muffins along, And we sit and we talk and we relax, and then we can say what we like about the book, maybe what we didn't like about the book, and then recommend the books on to other students as well. And that has been incredibly powerful to see different year groups interacting with each other, but also staff members come along and enjoy the time as well. Sometimes I think they're just coming for the muffins, but actually as well, you know, they have a good time as well. So thanks for reminding me to share about that, Pam.
The things that both of you have said today is just fantastic. So it's quite emotional, actually. I sound a bit silly saying that, but you know, you were saying about when you get the books and then the impact it's had on the students and even some of the other teachers and across the curriculum. It's amazing.